Where are you from? See, if I were to make a list of some of the questions that I hate being asked, or I hate in general, number 2 would be if I like pineapples on my pizza. An important question for a 21st century internet discourse, I know. But what bothers me a bit more than that is that quasi-simplistic forward sentence that is highly equivocal. So, where do I actually come from? Well, according to American experimental filmmaker Stan Brakhage, my mother's... But seriously now, this is an attempt to provide a viable answer to a not-so-viable question. This question is simply outdated. See, if you're like me, born in one place, lived a bit in another place for a while, have a different ethnicity than all the places you've lived in, this piece of paper imposed on you by the nationalists up there doesn't mean jack shit. This is just another way to categorize you, to put that metaphysical concept of identity in a box, to make it tangible and physical. See, even if you are not like me, nationalist discourses are just a thing of the past. We are migratory human beings who are exposed to many different sociocultural milieus within a globalized digital world. Nationalist discourses want to demolish that. I am not saying that we should all be categorized under the world citizen demonym, but I aim to make people aware that they are affiliated with many more sociocultural milieus than they think they are. Therefore, the nationalist discourses that dictate one's nationality and sociocultural identifications are to be highly questioned. In order to question the static identity politics position, we have to introduce this four-syllable term, Diaspora. So, what are diasporas and how does understanding the concept problematize the question, where are you from? Diasporas are dispersed from the homeland. When there is a dissemination and dispersal of an ethnic and/or sociocultural group to two or more places that are not considered the homeland, then this marks one of the features of a sociocultural diaspora. Communities have to be maintained and have to exist in different parts of the world outside of the homeland. This dispersal could have many rationales: violent reasons such as genocide and war, economic reasons such as searching for work and trade, and more historical reasons such as colonial and imperialist situations. So these communities that disperse for whatever reason provides fertile grounds to maintain and preserve their original culture. In other words, the act of dispersal itself might activate even stronger feelings of preservation due to the fear of the extermination of that respective culture. One way to preserve the original culture is to maintain narratives and discourse about the homeland. This eventually leads to collective memory and myth about the homeland. Let's take the Armenian diaspora into consideration. They have mainly been dispersed around the world due to the genocide, which took place about a century ago. However, many Armenians still have a strong conceptual and imaginary notion of an Armenian homeland. For some, this geographical homeland alludes to the lands of historical Armenia, which does not really exist anymore. Therefore, it has become a mythical conceptualization in order to sustain that Armenian diasporic identity. Besides this connection with the homeland, many Armenian diasporians also highly connect to present-day Armenia itself. They maintain communications and support its socio-political and religious organization. Additionally, diasporas sustain their identity by continuously reminding themselves of their origins by, for example, passing down such narratives transgenerationally. Therefore, to put it in Robin Cohen's words, there is a strong ethnic group consciousness sustained over a long time and based on a sense of distinctiveness, a common history, the transmission of a common cultural and religious heritage, and the belief in a common faith. So there is a pan-national consciousness that is perpetuated through the familial sphere, which then enters the individual identity politics position. Therefore, all of these sociocultural realms function in a dialectic, one informs the other. Even though diasporas are affiliated with the homeland, they are still part of the host community. Therefore, they are on the one hand from country A and identify with entity A, which can be the homeland. They are also part of the host country, country B. This is not necessarily a problematic relationship with country B, but many diasporic communities integrate and assimilate into the host country over time. But they still preserve their cultural identity if the situation allows for it. Therefore, diasporans are the epitome and are at the forefront of hybridity, plurality, and multiculturalism. Diasporans articulate differences and maneuver between different sociocultural milieus easily, therefore they embrace diversity. All this to say that diasporas are an liminal, interstitial, and in-between space between nations. Therefore, they transcend and go above and beyond the nation-state. That is precisely why nationalist discourses become irrelevant and insignificant to understand current sociocultural dispersals. We all have origins, but we also have sedimented influences and traces from different sociocultural milieus. However, diasporas do more so. This hybridity and plurality that diasporas nurture shines light onto other places of belonging that we identify with. I'm not saying that everyone should belong within this diaspora categorization. Conceptually theorizing about diasporas and bringing it to light aids in excavating the structures of where are you from. Using its conceptual framework helps us think like a diaspora, and therefore aids in digging into our sociocultural identifications. The question, where are you from, then becomes not a question of a static singular answer, but an expedition to discover your roots, your influences, and your identity.